Welcome to LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and this is my top 10 movies of 2015 list. Just a quick disclaimer before we jump into the top 10. This is my personal list of what I enjoyed watching the most in 2015. It's not necessarily a reflection of the movies I think were the most well-made or technically the best. They're just the movies I enjoyed personally the most. So let's just jump right into the list with number 10, Furious 7. So Furious 7 was big, blockbuster fun. The set pieces were amazing, the action sequences were astounding. It was just a great time to be had. But what really sealed the deal for me to place Furious 7 in my top 10 was the homage to Paul Walker. It was just so gorgeous, and it was something that stayed with me long after I had seen the film and prompted me to go back and see the film again in theaters, to watch it as soon as I bought the Blu-ray, because it was just such an emotionally wonderful ending to this film. Plus, it just reminds you of all the difficulties the cast, the crew, the filmmakers all had to go through around such a tragic event to still come out with a movie this fun and this entertaining. At number 9, I have Avengers Age of Ultron. So I agree with the majority of people who say this definitely was not as good as the first Avengers. So in that respect, it is a little bit of a disappointment. However, not being able to live up to my personal favorite comic book movie of all time isn't necessarily an insult, because Age of Ultron was still very good. I loved the humorous moments that they injected into the franchise here, especially when it came to Thor, who happens to be my favorite Avenger. And I also loved the new characters that we were introduced to, most notably Scarlet Witch. I'm glad to finally have a power set in here that is visually stunning, and the movie led really well into the events that are going to happen in Civil War. Plus, we were given a good villain, a villain better than pretty much all of them outside of Loki so far in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, with Ultron. At number 8, I have Carol. So we're taking a break from big blockbuster fare to visit a much quieter but very well done film. I think Carol was shot beautifully. It captured an era long gone. It was acted wonderfully. And it was a beautiful love story for the audience to really get swept up in. But it was a realistic love story. It didn't sugarcoat it. It didn't make everything seem glossy and fun and beautiful. It made real problems feel real to the audience. Plus, I appreciate having an LGBT romance treated just like any other romance. You had the problems, these characters weren't perfect, and we finally had lesbians on the big screen who weren't just there as some men's sexualized fantasy. We had a real look at real lesbians, and I think that's great for mainstream media to finally be pushing it in this way. At number 7, we have Mission Impossible: Rogue Nation. This was a great year for spy movies, but for me, Rogue Nation was by far the best spy movie of 2015. And personally, I think it's the best Mission Impossible to this point as well. The stakes were raised. We had huge set piece after huge set piece. The action was just spectacular, wonderfully choreographed. And you have to give it up to Tom Cruise. He's really risen from the ashes that he had created for himself a few years back to become an action star once again. He's back on top of his game, and the Mission Impossible franchise is stronger than ever. This movie was fantastic, and one of the best action movies I think I may have ever seen. At number 6, we have The Big Short. I went in pretty excited for this film. I left really excited because I thought it was fantastic. I loved the frenetic energy that lasted through the whole film. I loved the subtle social commentaries that layered the entire movie. The acting performances were amazing. The dialogue and script were fantastic. The directing was so unique, but so good. Pretty much everything, top to bottom, I loved about The Big Short. At number 5, we have The Hateful Eight. So I just very recently saw this film, and it just left such a lasting impression on me. I loved it. I have really enjoyed Quentin Tarantino all the way back from, Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction. and continue to have loved him with like Inglourious Basterds and Django Unchained, even though they feel a little bit different than his early work. And The Hateful Eight was a beautiful blend of both. It was gorgeous to look at, just beautiful cinematography from the beginning all the way through to the end. It had amazing writing, like we've come to expect from Quentin Tarantino. Direction was flawless, amazing score, and it all helped to create a memorable experience, although not entirely pleasant. It was also so nice to have a throwback that had an intermission in the middle, that had an overture to start. It all just came together to make what I think technically might have been the best film of 2015. But it also happened to be one that I thoroughly enjoyed experiencing, even if the events in the film aren't all that enjoyable themselves. At number 4, we have Inside Out. I think this was a very strong year for animation, and I really struggled not putting some other animated films on the list, but undeniably Inside Out was definitely top 5 material for the year. Very rarely do we come across any movie that has so much heart and so much emotion packed into it. Nevertheless, an animated film aimed at families and children. This was such a sophisticated movie, not only for children but for adults to really grasp onto. I thought it was beautiful. The world building was amazing, the character design was lovely, and really the message that was being sent out was so fantastic. And I just can't get enough of Inside Out. I thought it was such a wonderful little movie and really harkened back to the heyday of the best Pixar films. It was so good. At number 3, I have The Martian. My top 3 movies are so close that The Martian was this far away from getting put number 1 on my list. I absolutely loved it. Again, you'll notice a theme. The writing, fantastic. The directing was good. I don't think it necessarily enhanced the film like, say, Tarantino's work with The Hateful Eight did, but it was very good and didn't get in the way of the movie. Not to mention the ensemble cast, wonderful. All of the supporting characters, Jessica Chastain, Donald Glover, Chiwetel Ejiofor, all of them fantastic, but Matt Damon really stole the show. And it was a one-man show set on Mars that lasted well over 2 hours, but never bored me. I was entertained from start to finish. It was just really, really good filmmaking. At number 2, I have Star Wars: The Force Awakens. I'm so happy that I get to put Star Wars this high on my list of best movies of 2015. I was a little bit skeptical, but really the trailers all were fantastic, and they were very indicative of the movie to come. This movie harkened back to the feelings the original trilogy gave me as a child. I was excited. It felt like a real Star Wars movie. And I thought the story was fantastic. The acting was really sublime, especially for a Star Wars film. I think this was actually the best acting we've gotten from a Star Wars movie. The special effects were very strong. Everything about this movie, right down to the John Williams score, just felt authentic, felt wonderful, and I can't wait to get back into that theater to see this movie again and again. So the moment you've all been waiting for, I'm rocking Yoda on the shirt, so what could possibly beat Star Wars: The Force Awakens for my top movie of the year? Well, that would be Mad Max: Fury Road. Wow, was this film an experience. Visually stunning, and probably the best pure action movie I have ever seen in my life. It was so well directed. So much innovation went into creating a whole new experience. It just created such an amazing world. The blend of practical and CGI effects was astounding and just shows what can be done with today's technology if you just get a little bit creative. It was expertly directed, superbly acted, and the feminist message that got a lot of people riled up actually made me very happy. Charlize Theron killed it, and I also love the environmental message that was included here as well. People can criticize it all they'd like for being a little bit light on story, but the story we were given was amazing and constituted the best film of 2015. So, what did you think of my list? Do you agree? Disagree? Are there any surprises? What is your favorite movie of 2015? Let me know either in the comment section down below or hit me up on Twitter. I love you all so much for your support. Mwah! Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!